Welcome back to the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. My name is Sutton Def, and you're listening to Quiet Storm Sports, where we cover all things Baltimore Ravens on a daily basis. So if that sounds good to you and that's right up your alley, please consider liking this video and also subscribing to the channel as well. Listen, today we got a couple of things to get into. Actually, a lot of things. Actually, a jam-packed episode of Quiet Storm Sports for a random Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo, for those who celebrate. The Ravens might be trading for a center, a veteran center. And we also have Kyle Van Noy wanting to maybe have a reunion with the Ravens. I don't really know about that. And personally, guys, I got to admit to you from the bottom of my heart, I was wrong about some of the things that transpired over this offseason so far. I want to get into the offseason grade for this Ravens team so far. Since the bulk of the offseason is over, I think it's kind of fair to give a grade right now. I don't think that the grade that we give right now for the Ravens will be very far off from the grade that we would give for them right before the season starts in terms of how well they did in the offseason. So we're going to talk about that and so much more here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. But of course, as always, like the video. Yes, sir. We are back. Again, my name is Sutton Def, and you are listening to the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, Quiet Storm Sports, where we discuss all things Baltimore Ravens and other sports as well. NBA playoffs is heating up. I've been watching a lot of that lately. I don't know if any of you guys follow that, but I've been all over it personally. Last night, my Sixers got destroyed by not Boston Celtics, by the New York Knicks in game one. They just kind of went off on us. We just it fell apart early in that game. So I've been watching that. Also, our boy Alex, simply AS10, he has been following the Premier League, Champions League in soccer. And you guys know his team is Arsenal. They just won today 1-0 over Atletico Madrid. So they are now going to the final, which he is super excited about. His soccer team is going to basically the Super Bowl of soccer. So he's pumped about that. Lots of stuff to cover here on Quiet Storm Sports, but I do appreciate each and every one of you guys watching live right now. If you are watching live, please be sure to like the video and sound off in the chat. Let me know you are here. And then also, if you're part of the replay gang, which means you're watching the replay of this episode, however you may be watching, whenever you might be watching, maybe you're watching in the car, maybe you're watching before bed, maybe you're listening on your way to work, maybe you're listening on your lunch break, whenever, we appreciate you for stopping through and making us a part of your day. Again, consider liking the video and subbing if you are new. Tons to get into. Got to give a shout out here to who's here in the live chat. I see Glaucoma in the live chat. What up, Glaucoma? ISO is in here with me. Tila is in the chat. Tila, the moderator, is in here. Lisa is in here as well. What up, Lisa? Appreciate you for coming through. We got James in here. We got Mike, M Flock Gang, another member in the chat. Taurus, my guy. What up, what up, what up? Stretch 52 is in the chat as well. Tons to get into. Ashley, what up, what up? Tons to get into tonight on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Again, a lot for a random Cinco de Mayo Tuesday, but here we go. So, first and foremost, guys, I wanted to get into this whole center that the Ravens might be getting. But before I do that, really, really quick, let me just say this, because this is actually going to lead perfectly into talking about the center. So far in this Ravens offseason, because like I said at the beginning of the show, there's not going to be too much that happens between now and August when the Ravens actually start playing, preseason games and start gearing up for the season. You might get a veteran acquisition or two here and there. Maybe another D lineman, maybe another edge guy, right? Maybe another wide receiver. Who knows? Maybe a center. Who knows at this point? But I think it's not going to be somebody who necessarily moves the needle for this team more than what the draft picks would have moved the needle for and what the early free agent acquisitions would have moved the needle for, a.k.a. Trey Hendrickson and the like. Jalen Hawkins, guys like that. So I think it's safe to say, with all that being said, I think it's safe to say that we can give the Ravens a grade for their offseason. And if I had to give them one right now, Christian, appreciate the membership. Thank you for joining the Rain Gang, brother. Thank you for joining the fam. But if I had to give the Ravens a grade so far on the 2026 offseason, I think I would have to give it an A minus. I'm gonna give it an A minus. And this is actually coming after a week, a week and some change after, 2 weeks after the draft, right? I've had a lot of time to think about this based off of who the Ravens drafted and who they acquired in the offseason, and then also just with the coaching changes. I couldn't give it anything below an A. I couldn't. Let me know down below in the comments if you give this Ravens offseason so far anything below an A grade, because I personally don't. Tila, appreciate the membership. Appreciate the membership. Celebrating 8 months of channel membership. Says salute to you, Sutton. No, salute to you, sis. We appreciate you for coming through each and every time. Being a moderator in the chat, keeping everything in check for us. We appreciate that. Lisa says A plus 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 for her. Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'll say A minus is because we still don't have center figured out. And again, like I said, this perfectly segues into our next topic here with all these center rumors and things floating around nowadays. But again, I think the combination of three things: being aggressive and drafting what you needed to and being aggressive about it, and getting your left guard of the future. And yes, I think Vega Ioane is a left guard, not a right guard in this league. I want him to play left, not right. I'll get into that a little bit more later. But you were aggressive about that. And then you went and you purposely got bigger just overall on offense. Did anybody else notice that? Did anybody else notice that? How we just got bigger on offense. Vega Ioane, right? 6'6", 300 and some, whatever pounds, right? Jacoby Lane, 6'4". Elijah Surratt, 6'3". Adam Randall, 6'3", running back. We just got bigger, right? And honestly, on defense, it feels like we got a little bit more opportunistic, if that's at all fair to say. And what I mean by that is we went out and we got guys like Jalen Hawkins, who can hold down the deep half with Malachi Starks, while Kyle Hamilton is able to just wreak havoc in and around the box, which is, if he's able to do that, he's going to be able to help cause a lot of turnovers, right? Him, Kyle Hamilton, and then also Trey Hendrickson coming off of the edge. I think that this defense is going to be very, very greedy. I just talked about it yesterday on PRP, the main pod with Alex. The Ravens' turnover differential last season, garbage. Garbage. It was horrible. Bottom 5 in the league. The Ravens constantly gave the ball away, and they never got takeaways. It was sad, right? So I think that we've kind of built a greedier defense, also getting guys like Zion Young, who I'm going to get into a little bit more later on the show as well. A greedier defense, but a more grueling offense. Yeah, I like that. A greedy defense, but a grueling offense. What does that mean? I think the Ravens are building, quiet as kept, a greedy defense that's going to be able to create turnovers, create short fields, right? And keep quarterbacks jittery. You know what I mean? And confused. Because you guys know Jesse Minter loves to run a lot of disguised looks and things like that. So I think you're going to see a greedier defense that is way better in turnover differential. And you're going to see a grueling offense with huge guys everywhere, leaning on you with the run late in games. Derrick Henry's been tearing you up for 3+ quarters. And then you get Adam Randall, who's basically Derrick Henry light. still leaning on you, getting back to that bully kind of ball. When the Ravens are up 2 possessions, there's no reason, there's no rhyme and or reason, John Harbaugh, why you should squander that lead with this Ravens offense. You run the football. You run the football. You lean on teams. You waste the clock. You make them tackle for 4 quarters. That's what you do. And I think we're building that type of offense. We're building a grueling offense that'll grind you out and a greedy defense that'll flip the field. And, still got Lamar Jackson. Just the best quarterback in the world. No biggie. No biggie. When is Zion going to sign? Interesting. I forgot about that. He's the last one, huh? He's the last one. You guys know what those second-round picks, you guys know what they do, man. They're trying to hold out because they're trying to get closer to that first-round money. So we'll see. We'll see. But hopefully it's soon. But okay. Like I said, let's go ahead and transition here because the only reason why I would give the Ravens grade for the offseason an A-, right, is because they did not address center. And I would be remiss and a hypocrite of sorts if I sat up here and I didn't talk about or remind you guys how I always used to talk about right here on this very channel, how I hated the idea of not having solid center play. So here is a rumor on a potential trade target for the Ravens. So you see here the headline is veteran Bears center named a potential trade target for the Ravens. Let's take a look at this article here on the Ravens website. It says veteran Bears center. Iowa center Logan Jones was a popular day 2 pick for the Ravens in mock drafts. And general manager Eric DeCosta said after the draft that Jones was one of the 2 centers he really liked a lot. DeCosta thought there was a pretty darn good chance either Jones or Florida center Jake Slaughter would be available when the Ravens were on the clock in the 3rd round at number 80. Unfortunately, Logan Jones went to the Chicago Bears at number 57, and Slaughter went to the Los Angeles Chargers 6 picks later. Interestingly, Jones could still play a role in who will start at center for the Ravens. DeCosta said the Ravens could look at trade options to fill the position, and an anonymous NFL executive told The Athletic that Bears center Garrett Bradbury would be a logical trade target if the Bears like what they see in Jones. And it says here, Baltimore is going to let everybody who can snap the ball try. That would not be a bad trade. If I'm Chicago, I would not trade him until I know what I have with Logan Jones and know he is the guy. The Bears acquired Bradbury, who's 30 years old, from the New England Patriots for a 2027 5th-round pick in March. And Bradbury was selected 18th overall in 2019 by the Vikings and spent 6 years in Minnesota before signing with New England last offseason. He has 105 career starts and did not miss a game the past 2 seasons. And as you guys can see here is his PFF grades, whatever that means to you, just to kind of show you here his PFF grades for the previous season. So you see the overall grade, 60.1, which ranks 30th out of 40 centers. His pass blocking grade, again, all according to PFF. Take it with a grain of salt if you want to. 63.1, 23rd out of 40 centers. And then run blocking was even worse, 56.2 grade on that. 35th out of 40 centers in the league at run blocking. Needless to say, man, I mean, honestly, looking at, his stats, he's a player he's a vet, right? He's 30 years old. He's been around for a while now. You kind of know what you're getting out of a player like this. I think that trading for a player like Garrett Bradbury, whatever it may cost, right? Whatever it may cost, I think is a mistake and a reach. I do. I don't like this potential trade. I'll just come out and I'll say that right now. I do not like this potential trade. I don't like the idea of it. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, you got guys in that room right now. You have guys in that room right now. Who is it? Corey Bullock. You've got Javon Gwynn, Danny Pinter in there. You've got some options. And there's free agents out there who I'm sure you could probably get for less and give up less. So, and again, if run blocking is not his forte, and that's exactly what the Ravens want to do long term, again, make it make sense. Make it make sense. I don't see it. I don't see that happening. Nick Dawkins, maybe the UDFA from Penn State will be good. Nick Dawkins is in the room. Yes, from Penn State. Played with Vega, was a team captain. Definitely, reasons why the guy went undrafted, but there was something that they saw in him, so he could be definitely a developmental piece. It's going to be all about what Dwayne Ledford sees, and I think that's what honestly excites me the most about this offseason. I mean, it goes into the grade. So again, like I mentioned at the top of the show, not only is it getting Trey Hendrickson, acting like you wanted to go big game hunting and get Max Crosby too, going out and getting big body wide receivers in the draft. Outside of all that, right? Outside of all that, you got a coaching staff that really, really, like when put together, it can be a well-oiled machine. Excuse me. Jesse Minter, defensive-minded head coach. What does that do? I mean, that automatically makes it so you don't have to put as much money in the defense because you know he can do more with less, right? And you can focus more on spending on the offense. And I think that's what we saw in the draft. But getting back to Dwayne Ledford, what I love the most about his hiring is that he's one of the best offensive line coaches in the league. Spent some time over at Atlanta and really had that line cooking for Bijan Robinson. Bijan is Bijan. Don't get me wrong. He's going to do whatever he wants, regardless, pretty much. But no, they had one of the better run schemed offensive lines in the league last year. Dwayne Ledford's unit in Atlanta. So I think that bringing him in, I trust his judgment. I trust the guy's judgment. And with the options from Nick Dawson all the way up to Corey Bullock, right? I think that it's either got to be one of those guys or you bring in a free agent. It's got to be one of the two. But it's going to take some time to figure out, once these guys get back to OTAs and once training camp starts and things like that, that's when, Dwayne Ledford will probably be able to more accurately assess what needs to happen with this offensive line unit right now. Because as of right now, I mean, he's not really working with too much, right? So it's one of those things we'll have to wait and see. But again, I'm not a fan of trading any sort of capital, whether that be draft picks, whether that be a player, whatever, for a Garrett Bradbury. I'm good. I'm all good. Let me know what you think, though, down below in the comment section. If you're part of the replay gang, again, welcome into this episode of Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Garrett Bradbury, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Let me see. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. TY, I see you in the chat. What up? Cameron, I see you in the chat. What up? Frieza, what's going on? Mind Strength, I see you in the chat. What's up, y'all? Bo Knows. Appreciate all of y'all for coming through. And again, shout out to the replay gang as well. You guys are goated individuals watching after the fact. Love you guys so much. All right, moving on here. So, news came out today. Right, news came out today that the Giants are signing veteran D tackle DJ Reader. Okay, and why is this significant for the Ravens, Sutton? Well, quite frankly, because just a couple of weeks ago, DJ Reader happened to be in Baltimore at the Castle. Imps World, appreciate the sub. He happened to be at the Castle. And, for about 48 hours, you had Ravens fans basically just clamoring to get this guy in the building, keep this guy in the building, basically sign him. Because DJ Reader is a very, very underrated nose tackle, two-gapping nose tackle, run-stuffing nose tackle. And he would have been a really good addition to this defensive line. Now, this move does not sting. It does not sting me because of the acquisition. David, appreciate the sub. Because of the acquisition of Calais Campbell last week. Because Calais Campbell is a guy who, yes, he's older, much older, as a matter of fact. But he's been here before. He's familiar with the organization. He knows what it takes to win. He knows what it takes in big moments to step up and lead a team. We've seen that before. Hell, we saw it last year with Arizona at times. He can do it with anybody. He's that type of guy. Um, I compared him to like an oak tree. That's what I told Alex. Like he's just like always there, like huge, just always there, just always there. You can just always kind of count on him. Um, but also outside of that, right? Outside of all that, he can play across that D line, guys. He can play across the D line. You know, obviously you want him lined up on the inside, but he can play over the center. We've seen that before too. So I think that with the Ravens getting Calais Campbell, this is really like a non-factor for me. And I think DJ Reader ended up getting what was it, a 2-year, 12 million? I think it was 2-year, 12 million for him, is what they paid him. Let me see. Let's see. DJ Reader. Just to make sure. Here we go. The Giants and DJ Reader agreed to a 2-year, $12.5 million deal with the potential to earn more via incentives. Yeah. And then Calais Campbell, his deal with the Ravens. Let me just look that up again one more time. Let's see. What did we give him? Expected to be a 1-year deal in the $5.5 million range. So, yeah, obviously we got him on a better deal. Of course, he is a lot older, like I said before, so that makes a whole ton of sense. But I'm satisfied, more than satisfied with the Ravens bringing back Calais Campbell as opposed to a DJ Reader. Maybe I'm tripping for that. Maybe y'all might say I'm tripping for that, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Again, I'm fine with having a Calais Campbell who's already familiar with the organization, who's 6'8", and who on 3rd and 6, if all else fails, he can just get his big paws up, right, and create traffic in the throwing lanes and bat a ball down. And it goes from a 3rd and 6, a high pressure, high stakes 3rd and 6. Nobody's getting pressure, but then the ball just gets batted down. He gives you plays like that. Calais Campbell gives you plays like that at his big age of damn near 40 years old. Real quick, let's clap it up for Calais Campbell, man. Doing it at his age, man. You got to clap it up for that, man. Like, that's impressive. That is impressive. Again, for those of you guys, and I'll keep saying it, last year, Calais Campbell had more sacks than anybody on the Ravens. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I hope we land Clowney. I'm good on that. I'm good on that, man. I'm good on landing Clowney. I'm fine without landing another edge guy before the season starts. Some of you guys might say I'm tripping for that one, but no, I mean, like I said before, guys, having Jesse Minter, I don't think a lot of you realize what having Jesse Minter as a head coach does for this defense, right? Like the amount of value that is added to this defense just by virtue of having a hands-on, defensive-minded head coach who's running his scheme, his system, teaching his players his technique, things that have worked for him before. He's a specialist, right? That enhances quite literally, like just naturally. Like imagine if this were like a video game, right? Which I know it's not, but what I'm saying is it changes the math. Jesse Minter coming in and being this defensive-minded head coach, it changes the math for this team. What do I mean by that? So his philosophy and his ideas and his coaching will basically boost the XP, if you want to put it that way. Boost the XP, boost the experience points of everybody on the defense just kind of naturally. And the reason I can say that is because look at the graphic that Alex brought up for us yesterday on the PRP show, where we were looking at the difference in talent that the LA Chargers defense had last year when Jesse Minter was their DC and the Ravens defense this year. I mean, he's getting upgrades everywhere. He's getting upgrades everywhere. So I just don't really see why the Ravens need to invest more capital. And I get it. I love Jadeveon Clowney. I wouldn't even hate it. I wouldn't hate it. But I don't see why the Ravens need to invest any more into the defense than they already have. I mean, hell, give me something. If we want more edge guys, bring up one of these. Let's see which one of these UDFA edge rushers Jesse Minter really likes. And let's see if he can mold one of those guys into a fringe starter or a solid starter on this team. Let's spend less money on the defense. We've already got a lot of money tied up into guys who aren't even performing to that level. So I think it's time to cut some costs there and defund the defense. I do. All right, what do we have next? Here? Okay. Let me bring this up on screen. Like the video, guys, if you're watching on YouTube. I know a lot of you guys are watching on X as well. Shout out to you if you're watching on X. Make sure you give me a follow over there at Sutton Def. But make sure if you're watching on YouTube, please leave a thumbs up on the video. And subscribe if you are new. You are listening to Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Okay. So me and Alex had a conversation yesterday. Right. We had a conversation yesterday about where we wanted Vega Ioane to start on the offensive line. And if I remember correctly, me and my co-host Simply AS10, we both agreed on wanting him to start on the left-hand side and play left guard instead of right guard. Now, a lot of people have been saying, oh, well, no, John Simpson, he's been playing left guard for the past couple of years. Let's just let him stay at his position at left guard, and let's let the rookie go out of his position and go right guard instead, which to me is ass backwards. You let me know what you think down below in the chat and in the comment section. But I would think that you could have a vet go from one side to another and kind of be able to hold it down a little bit quicker than a rookie who you're asking to do that same thing. That's just number one. Number one, I want Vega to play the position that he naturally played in college. That's number one. Number two, I brought up this graphic yesterday. And I tweeted it out. And what this graphic is here is EPA per rush grouped by run gap in 2025. In the 2025 season. And basically, when you look at this chart here, what it tells you is that running to the left side, basically anything that had to do with the Andrew Voorhees kind of space-time continuum, runs weren't happening. Runs weren't happening at all, right? We were getting no push from that side. But if you notice on the far outside, on runs to the outside, so outside zone runs were going behind the left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, we had some good runs out of there. We had some good runs running wide left. Had some good runs running wide right as well. And then also had some decent runs running behind Daniel Fa'alele. Daniel Fa'alele wasn't all bad. He wasn't all bad. Right? He was definitely a little bit better of a run blocker than he was a pass blocker. I'm not here to cape for Daniel Fa'alele. If you guys are looking at this graphic, you guys are probably going like, wait, how did Daniel Fa'alele, how are we getting good runs off of his side? We had to get it from somewhere, but we definitely, for damn sure, we're not getting it from Andrew Voorhees. Which was a shame because Andrew Voorhees was supposed to be the strongest guy on the team. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that news came out like sometime like a year ago. Like he's, bench press champ on the team or something like that. He's got the most strength, but he just can't move guys. I don't know what that's about. But anyways, my point is this. And like I say in the tweet here, the idea of Derrick Henry running to the left behind Stanley and Vega is more than enough for me to want Vega starting at left guard instead of right guard. Right? I just think the convoy of Stanley and Vega, and then again, oh, by the way, you have to tackle Derrick Henry once you get through those two guys. That's tough to deal with, man. And somebody might say, oh, so do you want the run game to be imbalanced to the left side? No. You call it an imbalance. I call it strategy. Honestly. I call it strategy. If you have a stronger side where clearly you have these two beasts over here at linemen who are going to escort Derrick Henry, defenses know that, right? Defenses know that and will bite down on trying to get to that side quicker. The linebackers will. So when you run like halfback counter off of that and you catch them slipping and you waste some of their motion, moving side to side, moving laterally, trying to figure out what gap they need to fill. I think, again, the possibilities for this offense really are endless. And I just think it makes the Ravens more multiple, having a side that you know that they're stronger at running to that side. And don't get me wrong, John Simpson, his run blocking is not bad at all. That's actually his strength. That's actually his strength. So imagine running counter, right? You're faking like you're running behind Stanley and Vega, which everyone's going to be afraid of. And then Derrick Henry puts his foot in the ground and goes right behind John Simpson, who's got one block, and then it's clear as day for Derrick Henry. Could you see that happening? Could you see that happening? I just think it would throw defenses off balance. I get the whole, if you want the Ravens offensive line to be more balanced, right? Have Vega, unless we're still assuming that this rookie Vega Ioane is going to be damn good. I think he is, personally, and there's other reasons for that as well. But I think that you throw defenses off balance when you have a side that you want to run to that's a little bit stronger, right? That's a little bit more threatening. Vega Ioane's run blocking stats, by the way, in college were amazing. Here's a stat for you. 68% of Penn State's rushing yards were gained running to his side of the line. 68%. Damn near 70% of their rushing yards were running behind Vega Ioane last year. That tells me that the Ravens need to employ that same strategy. Keep him on the left side where he's comfortable at. And let him run zone schemes with Ronnie Stanley. And let them just move guys out of the way. Let him move traffic. That's what I say. That's what I say. Don't forget to join the Rain Gang, like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Voorhees is going to be a backup on the final year of his deal. He's basically battling for the 6th O lineman right now. Yeah, man, I really did. I had high hopes for Voorhees, man. I did. I really did. But I don't know. It just did not pan out. And this graphic kind of tells you that. This graphic definitely tells you that. Queendom Come, appreciate you for coming through. What up, what up? All right. Let's move right along here. All right, so here was something that I just had to show you guys, right? I had to show you guys this. Earlier today, I think this was on the Kay Adams show? Yeah, the Kay Adams show. You got Kyle Van Noy, who's for some reason is always on the Kay Adams show. I guess they're like good friends or something because he's like always on her show giving her an interview of sorts. But apparently Kyle Van Noy says the door is still open in Baltimore and that he would basically love to come back and play for the team. Let's take a listen.
Back there, it sounds like Eric DeCosta and you have is the door open?
Yeah, we have a great relationship. I have a great relationship with Mr. Bisciotti as well. I've been very fortunate to have a relationship with a team like that, how open it's been and how respectful it's been. And, you know, I love my teammates that I played there with them, the relationship that I've grown with Lamar and Derrick Henry and Mark Andrews. And Nate Wiggins, like my little youngin'. I'm super excited to see him and this new defense and how he's going to play. Just so many guys that I've grown with over the last 3 seasons and kind of took on that big bro role. like Tom Brady did for us. I'm very fortunate to have him as somebody who I looked up to that was, big bro to me, as well as Matthew Slater. I don't want to call Julian Edelman big bro because he ditched me yesterday at this golf tournament, but we'll throw him in there too. Just want to be able to start what I've be able to go into that situation in 23. We were so close, should have won it that year. We choked to the Chiefs, and then the year before we blew it against Buffalo, and then last year was a disaster. And it would just be, I know they're going to try to go for it because this might be, Lamar's, his situation with his contract. It might be, who knows what they got going on with that. So I think they should go all in again, and I want to be a part of that. But I'm excited for this process. I really am. I'm just gonna be ready to go.
Okay. All right, Kyle. Enough from you, Mr. Van Noy. I always want to preface everything that I say about Kyle Van Noy with, appreciate everything he did for the Ravens with not only just the sack productions in certain seasons, but also just the leadership that he brought to that locker room. He mentioned in this interview clip here with Kay Adams that, he wanted to kind of play that big bro role like Tom Brady did with him. He wanted to keep playing that big bro role with guys like Nate Wiggins and, just all the guys on that defense and stuff like that. But the problem is, brother, it's like, the leadership is cool, but it doesn't come first. Unfortunately, there are no players on the football field, on the gridiron, that are leaders and nothing else. No, you have to be producing as a football player. And the fact of the matter is, Kyle Van Noy just had too sharp of a drop off, too steep of a drop off from 2024 to 2025. I mean, you go from having 12 and a half sacks in 2024 to in 2025. I mean, how many did he have? Let's take a look here. Let's see. Will it show us 2 sacks? 2 sacks last year, right? And I hate to say it, but 75% of the time, it seemed like your age was catching up to you, and you were kind of like taking plays off and things like that. So for me, I'm good on bringing Kyle Van Noy back. I'm all set on that happening, but let me know what you think down below in the comments. I just think, again, the production doesn't match whatever the price would be. It just doesn't match. Like, I just don't see it here. And then, like I said before, I have to stand by what I said earlier in the show. I am thinking that it's time to start trusting and getting much younger on the defense. It's time to start getting a lot younger on the defense. And I'm going to actually expound on that here in a minute about another player that I feel like I was wrong about. So stay tuned for that. Again, make sure you guys like the video. This is Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. And my name is Sutton Duff. Asmodeus with the Super Chat donation says, is the Sutton Reaction Show dead? I'm missing it. No, it's not dead, brother. It's not dead, brother. It's just under some renovations right now. Honestly, I am trying to tweak it so I can, how do I say, be less predictable with it. I'm trying to make it more interactive and more fun. I'm just trying to play with some things and figure out what works best for me. So it's not dead. It's not dead. It'll be coming back. It'll be coming back soon. Trust me, Asmodeus. But thank you so much for the $2 Super Chat donation. Again, but yeah, no good on Kyle Van Noy for me. I want to rock with Tavius Robinson, right? I want to rock with Zion Young. I want to rock with Trey Hendrickson, Mike Green. That's who I want to put my faith in for the edge room this season. I do. But okay, like I said, stay tuned, guys. We're gonna go ahead and get into another player I think I was wrong about. I actually just mentioned his name, so that kind of gives you a little hint right there. But stay tuned. This is Quiet Storm Sports. We will be back in 30 seconds. Like the video. All right, and we are back. Appreciate y'all. All right, so what I was talking about before, guys, Zion Young. I want to get into Zion Young here, the Ravens' second round pick number 45 overall. I was critical of this selection when they first made it. I can't lie to you, I was. But upon doing a little bit more digging on the Ravens' newest edge rusher, I've come to the conclusion that I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong about Zion Young. I was wrong. And what I'll say is this. You guys remember when Kyle Hamilton was on the team bus after a game and he was talking to Zay Flowers, and Zay Flowers was asking Kyle Hamilton, like, oh, why'd you hit that dude so hard? And Kyle Hamilton was like, I'm just a YN. You guys remember that? Good times, right? All sorts of TikTok edits and things like that. Memeable content came out from that. But it got me to thinking, because I thought about that video earlier today. And I thought about the type of player that Zion Young is and the energy that he brings to the game. And I just feel like he's going to fit in quite literally perfectly. And it's literally what Jesse Minter was saying when he said he wants the loudest, craziest, most obnoxious defense in Ravens history. That's what Zion Young is. That's what he brings. That's what he brings. Now, energy stuff aside, because I think we all know at this point, Zion Young, he's a very charismatic kid, not afraid to be in your face, talk trash, things like that, and really kind of dominate the mental aspect of football. We all know that that's what he does, which is awesome. But I wanted to bring up kind of like an example of this guy's resilience. And then we're going to take a look at some of his clips from the Senior Bowl. But the guy's resilience was highlighted here in this article, and I want to show you guys. So I'll read it for you guys. It says, Zion Young has a history of putting words into action. It says, it was impossible not to be fired up about the Ravens drafting Zion Young in the second round after listening to the Missouri outside linebackers conversation with EDC and head coach Jesse Minter. When EDC called Young to inform him that the Ravens are picking him at number 45, Young enthusiastically said, let's get it, 10 times in a span of 20 seconds. After DaCosta passed the phone to Minter, Young told his new coach, I promise you, I'm ready. Let's do it. Young admittedly loves to talk. He says, you'll hear before you see me. When he said that when speaking to the media at the NFL scouting combine, but he backs up his words, especially if he makes a promise. Baltimore Sun Sam Kahn spoke with some of those who know Young best about his journey to the NFL, including Carl Green, the athletic director at Atlanta's Westlake High School during Zion Young's time there. After Zion Young became academically ineligible for his sophomore season, it said that Zion Young stormed into the athletic director's office and vowed he would get back on track. He said, on my mama, I promise I won't let you down. On my mama, I got you. I felt that. Khan wrote, when Young learned he'd be forced out of football for the year, he bought a computer and doubled up his workload. Retaking his freshman classes online on top of his scheduled sophomore coursework, Young faced the consequences of his actions. While ineligible, he split his time between homework and working out. Zion's dad and brothers helped ready him in the weight room while his mom and sister stepped in as tutors. Young dedicated himself to his studies and was cleared in time for the fall of his junior year. Bulked up and a few inches taller, he proudly walked into the living room to tell his parents he was going back to practice. Green recalled Young returning to his office about 2 years ago and talking about achieving his goal of playing in the NFL. He said, I'm going to make it. I know I'm going to be that person, Young told Green. I got you. When Young spoke with Baltimore reporters after being drafted by the Ravens, he promised he'd do whatever it takes to bring a Super Bowl back to the Ravens. He speaks with so much passion and energy, Green said, when he talks about, I got you. You can't do nothing but believe him. So, yeah, that is a story about Zion Young. Basically, when there was a time he was ineligible for high school football. And that was because of his grades. And that goes for a lot of guys. A lot of guys go through that sort of thing, right? And here's just some of his highlights from his Senior Bowl practice here. Some of his one-on-ones here. You see number 9 getting past the tackles there. But I think it really speaks to his resilience, and one of the biggest factors in drafting Zion Young, I'm sure for the Ravens, was his motor. And we're talking about on the field. You can see with some of these highlights here, he doesn't necessarily win with a whole lot of finesse, right? He just wins by just powering through you and not stopping until he does. He's a guy who can go harder for longer than you, and that's important for a defensive player. It's super important for a defensive player, So I think that having this guy who, and again, I think the motor that he has is kind of like a metaphor for his resilience and how he kind of worked through that situation with his schooling and his grades and things like that. So with that being said, and I know I'm talking a lot about the psychology of things. You guys know I've been on that wave lately. But I think this guy is really going to be a huge factor on this defense. And I mean immediately too. Because he's not the biggest pass rush guy, right? He's not the biggest pass rusher, but when it comes to stopping the run and setting the edge, something that you need like 75% of the time, he does the little things, right? He does the little things. This guy is, dare I say, more steak than sizzle. He's more steak than sizzle, right? I think that is kind of safe to say, and this may be a hot take, but when you talk about steak and sizzle, I think that what you got from Mike Green last year was more sizzle, right? Coming in 17 and a half sacks. Ooh, that sounds good, don't it? 17 and a half sacks. Where'd he play? Marshall? Don't worry about it. Sunbelt Conference? I'm good. 17 and a half sacks is 17 and a half sacks. But it was a lot of sizzle. I'm not saying that Mike Green is bad. I'm not saying that. But I think that with Zion Young being a more complete outside backer, that's what I mean. You get a lot of steak. The sizzle may come later, but you get a lot of steak. I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of you guys, but it makes a whole lot of sense to me. Overall PFF grade last year, 84. Run defense grade, 85. Pass rush grade, 81. Right? 42 total tackles, 16 and a half tackles for loss. Okay, 16 and a half tackles for loss for Mr. Zion Young. And one more thing I wanted to show you guys. When it comes to this defense and why I think that Zion Young will be the perfect piece, the perfect puzzle piece for this defense here. Take a look at this. Somebody take a look at this really quick for me. Defensive 3-and-out rate forced in 2025. The bottom 5 in the league. As a matter of fact, scratch bottom 5. Literally the worst team in the league at forcing 3-and-outs was the Baltimore Ravens. The worst team in the league at forcing 3-and-outs was the Baltimore Ravens. So yes, I would love a player who either in the pass game or in the run game can get me a sack, can set the edge, get me a TFL. And the truth about it, guys, is Zion Young is built to do all of that. He's built to do all of that. We're getting pieces, and this is why I say the Ravens are actually crushing this offseason. Because we're getting pieces that actually make sense. actually make sense. Not just blindly going BPA and just getting pieces that actually make sense. Big body wide receivers for Lamar. 3 down edge guys. A proven commodity at edge. One of the best in the league. So you're not just relying on projection. Right? All these things. Get a Jalen Hawkins, a perfect puzzle piece back there with Malachi Starks while Kyle Hamilton roams and does his thing. All these things. Dwayne Ledford, one of the best offensive line coaches in the league. The Ravens are crushing this offseason, man. And the Zion Young pick, I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm loving it more by the day. Asmodeus, appreciate the $5 super chat donation, brother, making it rain here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Says, I love this pass rush room because of compliments. Green is the speed rusher. Zion's the power rusher / run stop. Trey's the technique, balance, strength, and experience. Yes. Yes. You literally have... Why was I going to say this? I was going to embarrass myself. I was going to say, like, you have, like, the Ninja Turtles of the rush room. It's crazy. I know. It's just my mind works in a weird way sometimes, guys. What I really meant by that is like there's just a bunch of different people with a bunch of different traits, you know. There's players with a bunch of different traits. And like my guy Asmodeus says here, you got Mike Green who rushes with a lot more finesse, right? And then you've got Zion Young who rushes with a lot more power and tenacity. You know, and then you have Trey Hendrickson, who's kind of like the older, savvier guy who can kind of leverage a bunch of different things to get it done. So that's what I really meant by that. Just a bunch of players with a bunch of different traits. Maybe the Ninja Turtles wasn't the best analogy, but we move on. Appreciate you, Asmodeus, as always, brother. Watson, appreciate the sub. Appreciate that. So even the running back we drafted is a big body wide receiver, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's actually very funny you said that because it's so true. Can you imagine Adam Randall just like gets lined up out wide a couple times, which I'm sure will happen, right? I'm sure he'll line up in the backfield on a third and whatever. He'll motion out to wherever and he'll run her out. And oh my goodness, can you imagine? Can you imagine what that does for your offense? Just really quick. What that does for your offense, like on a 3rd and 6 when, you know, you don't want to have Derrick Henry on the field and you put Adam Randall out there, who's a running back wide receiver hybrid. And you just have him run an extra route out of the backfield and you're going to ask a linebacker to cover him. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. Because this is not just any old running back, right? It's just, man. Possibilities are endless. Possibilities are truly endless with this team. For sure. For sure. Oh, you guys do kind of agree with me with my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles analogy. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm not crazy. All right, perfect. This is why I love you guys. This is why I need you guys. Appreciate you. Let me see. The man can't block yet. Keyword, yet. Not yet. But I do agree. Justice Hill probably will get the nod, at least early in the season. You know, he's definitely got the veteran seniority, and he's flat out a great, very underrated pass blocker. Justice Hill is. I mean, again, real quick, clap it up for Justice Hill. We know he couldn't do much last season, but he's a Raven that, you know, one of the most underrated, unsung hero Ravens. He's a top 3 unsung hero Raven. If I had to give my list of like top 3 unsung hero Ravens right now, currently still on the team, it's a tough one. Who are my top 3 unsung hero Ravens right now on the team? I think I'll go Justice Hill. I'll go Tavius Robinson. And I'll go top 3 unsung. Give me Cheeto Awuzie. Yeah, give me Cheeto Awuzie. Yeah. And then honorable mention, sneakily, I'll give an honorable mention nod to Trenton Simpson. Honorable mention nod. I feel like he was misused a lot in Zach Orr's system. And I do feel like he's a player to watch out for, Trenton Simpson, because he can low-key do a lot of things. Trenton Simpson can do a lot of things, right? He can cover out in space pretty well. He can tackle in the gaps, right? He can rush the passer. He can do a lot of things really well. So I think he'll step up. But no, my top three, again, like I said, Justice Hill, Tavius Robinson, and I'll say Cheeto Awuzie. Because again, Cheeto Awuzie, best cover corner last season. There's a reason. There's a reason why the Ravens bought him back. There's a reason. Snoop isn't. That's definitely not a bad. I could see an honorable mention for Snoop as well. I could. But when I guess I picked those other guys because they just have a more of an impact on more of a weekly basis, you know. So maybe Snoop will be like my second honorable mention or like my honorary mention or something like that, right? Or he's kind of got like an asterisk, you know. Anyway, anywho, where were we at? We're all Zach Orr victims. We are. Wadsum says here, thoughts on Tez Walker. Think we are going to use him more? Or are we moving on from him after the rookie contract? Well, I'll tell you this, Wadsum. It's not a very good sign that the Ravens went out and got two brand new shiny toys at wide receiver, you know, to put in that wide receiver garage, right? Again, Jacoby Lane, everyone's going to be expecting him for how high he was drafted and his measurables. Again, 6'4", 10.5-inch hands, right? Super big hands, makes one-handed catches, things like that. Worked with Todd Heap in the past. They're going to want that kid to play. Elijah Surratt, this is a guy who literally just won a championship with Indiana, right? He's got championship pedigree. He looks like a winner, sounds like a winner, and plays like a winner, right? He plays with skill and wins with skill. Doesn't necessarily have to win with athleticism, right? They're going to want those guys to play, you know. And Zay Flowers, I have all of the faith that they'll still re-sign him, which is interesting, the Zay conversation now, because I remember before the draft, not to get off on too much of a tangent, I remember before the draft, we were talking as if the Ravens drafted a wide receiver, I think we said like in their first 3 picks, I might have said that. Let me not put that on you guys. But I think I might have said something along the lines of if the Ravens drafted a receiver with their first 3 selections in the draft, then Zay Flowers' days are numbered. Now, I don't know just how true that is now that we know that the Ravens not only selected with their 3rd pick, but also their 4th pick, a wide receiver. I don't know what that necessarily means for Zay right now. Of course, you get Surratt and Lane for cheap for a while. But what does this mean for Tez Walker? Because that was your original question. Be honest with you, man. Not looking good. Not looking good. Because we have to remember, this is a run-first team. It's a run-first team. And I think his only saving grace would be if Declan Doyle sees something out of him early. He's going to have another great preseason. You guys remember last year when Cooper Rush, when the Ravens played the Dallas Cowboys in week 2 of the preseason last year, Cooper Rush started the game and there was a drive or 2, honestly, a full quarter, where he was just going back to Tez Walker, just back to back to back to back to back. He's going to have Tez Walker, that is. He's going to have one of those type of preseason performances again, on top of being really good in training camp too, to really kind of set himself apart from Zay Flowers, who, of course, Declan Doyle and that whole offensive coaching staff, they're already going to know Zay Flowers is the top dog. Mark Andrews, been around here forever, top tight end, need him. You know what I mean? And then you've got Rashad Bateman. We got to figure out a way to he was a former first-round pick, for crying out loud. We got to figure out a way to get him involved. And then, oh yeah, by the way, we just drafted Jacoby Lane, which is a juicy prospect, and then Elijah Surratt, who's another juicy prospect, right? So there's just a lot of names ahead of Tez Walker. You know, so he's really going to have to like stand out in training camp and in preseason, most importantly, if we want to see him. So it is very possible. It's on the table that we can move on from him after his rookie contract. I think so, especially if in preseason Jacoby Lane or Elijah Surratt, either one of those boys, if they kind of start to show you why the Ravens drafted them where they did, then yeah, it's gonna get spooky for Tez. It's gonna get spooky. Bateman and Tez are the ones on the hot seat. I agree. Zay's job is safe, but Bateman and Tez, nah. Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt are here, and they are cheap, and they have some juicy measurables. Pause. Anywho. Bears' top 3 wide receivers had 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. This was the only, this was what I was going to say his saving grace might be, is if Declan Doyle spreads it out, like make sure that the ball gets spread out like he did with Caleb Williams in that Bears offense last year, because everybody was getting targets on that Bears offense. Everybody was getting targets. But even still, Tez Walker's too far down the line. I don't think that necessarily Zay Flowers is going to get 50 more targets this year than the next closest guy like he did last year. Yeah, yes, he got like 50 more targets than Mark Andrews. And had the same amount of touchdowns, but had like 800 more yards than Mark Andrews did. But again, 50 more targets. So we'll see how that shakes out this year. We'll see how that shakes out this year underneath Declan Doyle's offense. Okay. Let's move on here, guys. Let's move on as we're about an hour into the show. Again, appreciate all of you guys for coming through. Can we get a like check on the video? How many likes do we have? Can we get a like in the video? Can we get a like on the video? Right? If you haven't already, can we get one of those, please? Thank you so much. We appreciate that. All right, let's see here. What else we got? We haven't talked too much, guys, about Ravens undrafted free agents. I know we've kind of touched on a few. But we haven't really talked about them all that much. And here's a Ravens undrafted free agent to watch, according to this article here on the Baltimore Ravens website. It says the Ravens have a rich history of finding undrafted rookies who earn a roster spot. Last season, 3 UDFAs made the initial 53-man roster. The Athletic's Nick Baumgartner identified one undrafted free agent to watch on every team, and Ole Miss offensive tackle Diego Pounds is his pick for the Ravens. Of all the guys on this list, I'm probably most surprised about Pounds not getting drafted. The 6'6", 325-pounder with nearly 34-inch arms, good explosion, and quick feet was a powerful and durable run blocker at both Ole Miss and North Carolina. He could be a surprise in Baltimore, as you rarely find UDFAs with this type of run blocking potential. He can provide valuable depth behind the 32-year-old tackle Ronnie Stanley. Pounds was the 125th ranked prospect on the Bleacher Report scouting department's final draft board. Started 32 games at Ole Miss and North Carolina. And he's got the size and play style that Baltimore has traditionally sought along the line. He was expected to be a day 3 pick, with some projections having him go as high as the 4th round. So here's a guy here who, we talk about the offensive line and having depth, and like we always talk about insurance on your insurance at that position. Here's another guy who, can back up the likes of a Carson Vincent, who when Carson Vincent played last year wasn't half bad the times he got in. Was he perfect? No, but he wasn't half bad. Diego Pounds is just another depth piece on this offensive line that I'm actually very, very excited for, because he has above average size, right? I think that the technique, especially at the NFL level, Dwayne Ledford is going to be able to coach up a lot of these guys, a lot of these lesser known guys, some of these UDFAs, right? And this is a guy who we should definitely be watching out for. Again, Diego Pounds. Let me kind of show you guys over here some of his traits. So core and grip strength. And when I was watching his tape, he did seem like he can get moved off the ball a little bit, even sometimes by like some smaller edge guys. But so I think that, he needs to work on his anchor just a little bit more. But he did show some good things on tape as well. Really good physicality. And again, just the size of it. 6'6", 77th percentile in terms of height. And then 81st percentile in terms of weight, 325 and 6'6", right? So he's definitely got some potential there. And I'm excited to see, again, what Dwayne Ledford, again, guys, that's why I'm most excited about this offseason, because we actually have the coaches who know what it takes, right? Last year, we heard from George Warhop, George War Crimes, Warhop, maybe like what, twice in the media? And both times we just got gaslit to hell. Oh, yeah, the O-line's fine. You guys think we have problems with the O? Psh, it's not the problem with this team. You're the problem with this team, you end of the bar fans. That's what they told us. They gaslit us. But no more. We won't stand for it. Heather, what up? What up? Okay. What else do we have here? Let's move on from this. I think I saw a story not the other day, earlier today, actually. Yeah, let's take a look at this really quick. So you guys know about the whole ref debacle that the NFL was going through, where it looked like they were about to have to get replacement refs back in for the first time in what, over 10 years. I remember the last time they had him, it was an absolute mess. Officiating was terrible. And I never want to experience that again as a football fan. But here's a developing story. The NFL and the NFL Referees Association are close to a new deal with a ratification vote set for Thursday night. And it says, if approved, it would prevent replacement referees this season. And this is something, again, listen, you got to clap it up for. You got to clap it up for. Hold on, let's clap it up. There we go. Let's clap it up for that. Let's clap it up for these boys getting a deal done here, because honestly, the last thing that I would have wanted as a Ravens fan bringing in this new regime is any outside forces negatively impacting what we got going on, right? I need to see this team as clear as possible, right? I don't need to see this team with a bunch of refereeing screw ups and things like that by guys who are just learning how to referee. I'm good on that. So just a little quick story there. Let me see here. Last thing. Oh, yeah, Stefon Diggs, right? Stefon Diggs, former New England Patriots receiver Stefon Diggs, was found not guilty on Tuesday of assaulting his private chef in a pay dispute. This sounds absolutely messy. Let's take a look at this, guys. Again, we've talked at length about Raven stuff here, so I want to bring up something a little bit off topic here before we hop off the stream. Again, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you are new as well. But this article says here as follows. Yeah, he was found not guilty on Tuesday of assaulting his private chef in a pay dispute. The four-time Pro Bowl wideout pleaded not guilty in February to a felony strangulation charge and a misdemeanor assault and battery charge stemming from the alleged dispute. The trial lasted only 2 days. The case centered on a December 2nd encounter at Diggs' home in Dedham, where Jamila Adams, a former live-in personal chef who was known as Mila, testified that he slapped and choked her during an argument. Diggs' attorney said the alleged assault never happened and questioned Adams' credibility and whether the dispute was about money, relationship tensions, including a disagreement over a planned trip to Miami, or an alleged assault. We have taken these allegations seriously from day one, and that's exactly why we were eager for the facts to come to light through the legal process, Mitch Schuster of Meister, Seelig, and Schuster said in a statement. Professional athletes have a target on their back. When someone sees a uniform and a contract, they see leverage, they see a settlement, and they're counting on that pressure in the court of public opinion to drive a default decision to settle regardless of the facts of the matter. The evidence has shown what we've maintained from day one. Mr. Diggs was wrongly accused, and this case represents exactly the kind of opportunistic targeting that players can face the moment they step off of the field. Diggs' attorney pointed to financial demands she made and testimony from friends and employees who said she did not appear injured in the days after the encounter. And defense attorney Andrew Kettlewell told jurors that during closing arguments that prosecutors had not presented a single shred of credible evidence that an assault occurred. Okay, so real quick. And look, Stefon Diggs, you did it again. You got off. Congratulations. But I think it was kind of nasty how, and honestly, short-sighted how I guess the his lawyers, his attorneys were framing it as, oh, he's an athlete, so of course people want to take advantage of him and use his money as leverage and his personal life as leverage and things like that to try to, shake him down. But it's like, yeah, that would be a cool story if this was somebody who didn't have a track record. Like if this was like a Russell Wilson, you know what I'm saying? Then like I would feel differently. I would feel differently about it. I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, because we've never heard about Russell Wilson being involved with any sort of drama, things like hell. If this was Lamar Jackson, hate to bring my quarterback into it, but you guys know how great of a guy he is. I mean, he's a great person, literally. Um, if news came out about something like that, where somebody said that Lamar Jackson had slapped up one of his private chefs, then I'd raise an eyebrow. I'd be like, yeah, like why is he being targeted like this? Because I have no prior experience with him, doing anything bad beforehand. So it's just like with Stefon Diggs, we do have that prior evidence where it's like, okay, we've seen your track record, whether it be with the girls on the yacht with the drugs, or you doing whatever you're doing with Cardi B, or whatever, the baby mama drama at the Super Bowl. It's just a lot. It's just a lot with Stefon Diggs. And he definitely gives me the type of person who would probably hire a live-in chef, right? And probably start having relations with said live-in chef, and probably mix business with personal and pleasure and whatnot, and find himself in knots, right? I could see that happening. I could see that happening. Stefon Diggs, kind of toxic. Just saying. Just saying. So I don't know. I don't know who's really lying or telling the truth in this situation. But yeah. Let me see what you guys are saying here. I saw the whole trial today. She's dancing and laughing. He was messing with the chef too. If your whole case rests on witness testimony and the complaining witness has zero credibility, it's DOA, which is also true. Yeah, they said that she wasn't able to present any evidence of this, and I don't really know. I mean, assuming it was like some sort of argument one night in his house, and he, maybe it got heated, they got in each other's face, and he slapped her, whatever. I don't know how she could necessarily produce evidence of that unless she was recording the whole thing the whole time, or she asked him for the security camera footage in his house, which I doubt he would give that up to her in that situation. But or if she had like physical evidence like on her person, that like on her body, that she was physically harmed. So I don't really know how she would, again, produce that evidence. But again, it's all he say, she say. It's nasty regardless. But I wanted to say all that to say this. Those of y'all who have been asking us here at PRP if we would like to see Stefon Diggs be the newest veteran Ravens wide receiver, the answer is hell to the nah. Nah, I'm good. I am so set on Stefon Diggs. It's not even funny at this point. Too many antics, right? I don't think that even the type of receiver he is compliments Zay Flowers. Not even as good as a Jacoby Lane. Sorry. Not even as good as an Elijah Surratt. Sorry. And I get they're rookies. But the juice just ain't worth the squeeze when it comes to Stefon Diggs. It's just not. Just not. And they move weird. He moved weird against the Ravens last year, talking trash and whatnot. Nah, I'm good. I'm all set. We're good over here. Notice Stefon Diggs. Way too much drama. But okay. Listen, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the show here. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming through. Again, my name is Sudden Death. This is Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Clap it up for yourselves for coming out to this one. Everybody in the live chat, please be sure to leave a like on the video. And if you're new, please consider subscribing here. We are a big, happy Rain Gang family who talks Ravens football each and every day here, whether that be in live video content, or in short form content as well. It all takes place here at the Purple Rain Podcast. Again, leave a like on the video before you get out of here, guys. And we will see you in the next one. Stay positive, test negative, and never, ever, ever forget to call God. It's been another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. I'll see you guys later. Peace.